Last week I talked about a movie that was only available to watch in the theater when I posted the review. This movie, on the other hand, is one that you can watch in the theater or streaming on HBO Max. Intro. Take one. How's it going, everyone? Steve here, and tonight we're going to be talking about the film In the Heights, directed by John M. Chu and starring Anthony Ramos, Corey Hawkins, Leslie Grace, and many others. This film version of the Broadway play follows a variety of different characters in New York's Washington Heights neighborhood, at its center being a young store owner named Usnavi, played by Anthony Ramos, who dreams of leaving in search of a better life. This film is a musical, and I have mentioned in other reviews that even though I don't totally dislike musicals, I don't avoid them like the plague, I don't exactly seek them out either. Musical is not necessarily my favorite genre when talking about movies. But considering the music and lyrics were written by Lin-Manuel Miranda, who is known by everybody for Hamilton, one of the greatest musicals of all time, and considering the film was directed by John M. Chu, who did a fantastic job, in my opinion, of directing Crazy Rich Asians, I figured this one was worth checking out. And I have to admit that despite some moments in the film that aren't as happy, I had a huge cheesy smile across my face throughout the duration of me watching this film. I thought that In the Heights was wonderful. And here's why. When you're talking about an adaptation of a stage play being brought into the film world, you've got to start with a fantastic cast. And this film absolutely delivers with an absolutely amazing cast. There isn't a single bad performance in the film, whether it's just an acting performance or a vocal singing performance. Everybody is pretty much uniformly excellent. But I have to give special mention to the lead actor, Anthony Ramos. Not only is he a good actor and singer, but I thought that he was perfect for this part. He is somebody who is supposed to be portrayed in a totally sympathetic light, and he is, but he's super charismatic and couldn't be more likable if he tried, even when he makes mistakes in the story. There is something about him in particular that is just instantly likable, and it comes off in every single scene that he's in. And obviously, when you're talking about a musical, you better have some really good songs and really good music, and this film delivers in that regard as well. While I wouldn't say the soundtrack is as good as the soundtrack of something like Hamilton, it's very, very good. There are definitely songs that are really catchy, and I wouldn't consider any of them bad or even mediocre. I think they're all fantastic. And by the way, this film is really well staged and shot too. Like, the opening scene and the opening musical number is really, really long, but it doesn't feel really, really long just because of what's happening on screen and the excellent pacing of it. And the song 96,000 and the musical number that takes place at the pool, that was absolutely incredible. And that leads me to just the overall look of this film. I mean, this film looks like what you would think of when you think of summer. What else could I expect from the director of Crazy Rich Asians, which that film had some really amazing production design, and that definitely carries over into the production design of this film, and it fits this film perfectly. The movie just has this really joyful feel to it, and this really, really good feel to it. This movie is filled with good people doing good things, and sometimes making mistakes along the way, but in general, they're doing good things. With that being said, there are some somber moments in the film. There are some moments in the film that are emotional and hard-hitting. But that does not take away from the joy of the film, nor does the joy of the film take away from those harder-hitting moments. This is one of those few films where it's such a feel-good type of aura around it that even when the sad stuff and the heavier stuff hits, you still have that feel-good tone where you want to watch it again. In this film, there is a big sense of community, and that's one thing that I really loved about it. The people in this film are part of this giant community, and the people in this neighborhood really feel like they're there looking out for each other, and that anytime something happens, they're there for each other. But they're trying to do that and remain happy and remain focused on being their best selves and doing things for each other, even though there's stuff going on that's not so great around them. For example, most of the neighborhood is kind of going away due to gentrification and due to businesses that were locally owned being bought out by people who have nothing to do with that neighborhood. It's almost like parts of the neighborhood are being lost to time and are being lost to change. And even though people in the community love each other and feel for each other, certain ones want to get out and do what's right for them and feel like they have a bigger purpose, particularly the main character. I won't get too far into the particulars, but there's another character who is expected to go to school. And she has gone to school, and she is trying to be successful. But at the same time, she's having big second thoughts just because the community at her school is nothing like the community she has back home. And she doesn't feel that support structure that she has in this community back home. And that's a very real thing. When you have a sense of community and you have a sense of belonging to a community, that's hard to substitute anywhere else. And that's what the main character of this film, Usnavi, is going through too. He's having this kind of crisis of having a sense of belonging. Like, he loves his neighborhood, but he feels like there's something more for him and he wants to get out. And he wants to do that, but at the same time, he doesn't want to leave all the people in his community behind either. He wants to leave his own life behind, but he doesn't want to leave the people behind. And that's the thing about this film that I really particularly loved, I think. It's that sense of community and trying to overcome that adversity that the community is facing and trying to keep smiles on their faces while doing it. And even though there are some tough challenges that the people in this community face, there's this real sense of wonder that the film brings to it. And it's hard to dislike a film that does that. Now, a lot of people might be turned off by the nearly 2.5-hour runtime, but that was no issue for me. This movie flew by. It had a great pace, and it didn't feel overlong in the slightest. And if I really wanted to, I'll bet I could find things that I found wrong with the film, but at that point I feel like I would just be nitpicking, and this is one of those films that felt so good watching. I don't want to nitpick it. That feels like a low blow to me. I just gotta say, I didn't really find anything drastically wrong with the film. I thought that it was wonderful. Overall, I think that In the Heights is a very lively, heartfelt, and most importantly, moving musical that I highly recommend you see when you get the chance. It is in theaters right now, and if you're vaccinated, please get vaccinated. If you haven't already, what the heck are you doing? Get vaccinated. If you're vaccinated and you feel safe going to a theater and you can do it safely, definitely see if you can check this one out in the theater. But if you don't feel so safe doing that yet and you have a subscription to HBO Max, at least check this out on HBO Max. You will not be disappointed. And that's it for tonight's review. If you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button. It really helps out with the YouTube algorithm and helps people who don't know about my content but would like to see content like this find my channel more easily. And if you're new here and you want to see more of what I do, go ahead and hit the subscribe button to subscribe to my channel. And if you want to actually be notified about new content that I post, instead of just randomly finding it every great now and then, go ahead and hit the bell icon so you can actually be notified when I post new content. And with that, have a good night, and I'll see you later.